recording fair warning.
What happens when you have a heart attack is you look at your life and you realize it could be done with anytime, and so you speak out about stuff that you wouldn't have spoken up. I know that from personal experience. And here's Mel. Interesting.
Yeah, he definitely spells it all out. He is in good health. I talked to him the other day.
Yeah, I
Hopes to be home soon.
Oh, he's
Health,
home.
good spirits?
Yeah.
He's home.
Good.
So he is home.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, he's home. He's got the visiting nurses coming and
Yep.
inspecting and injecting, and
Well, I hope they're at least cute.
they look damn good to you when they're keeping you alive. Yeah. I don't know if we should do something official, but it would be nice for someone from the Harbor Committee to give him a phone call,
Maybe each of us even.
or all of us, give him a phone call, and wish him well.
Agreed.
When did this happen? Just to,
I don't know, it was a week ago, wasn't it?
yeah.
And they didn't really catch it right away. I think he went to the hospital and they weren't quite sure. They usually do these blood enzymes and they could tell you, but apparently didn't show him right away.
Usually, what is it, EKG will tell you.
Yeah,
Like, just hook you up and...
if you're lucky or real unlucky, it'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it was a while before they really knew with him. He went home and then he kind of ran out of steam, and then he went home and really felt like on his left side and all that.
Yeah.
Went back.
He seems like the type that would take care of himself, too. You know?
And he doesn't, you just can't tell by looking at him. He's
Yeah.
thin and he's got energy and,
Doesn't smoke or anything.
no.
Shame.
Get this show on the road.
Yep. Do you want to do it? Do you want me to do it?
It says on the agenda, it's got your name on it.
All right. Call the Harbor Committee meeting.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Rich.
Oh, it is.
I'm sorry.
How's that carriage go?
The new town truck just pulled in.
Kind of wild, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a vehicle.
I
I
like
got all my minutes.
I find this interesting here at the end of Mel's thing with the lobster cars. What is the deal with those? I mean, I have one. You have one. You have one
Yep.
still.
Since
What
you
is
are,
the deal with that waste of space in the middle of the harbor that you just can't get rid? There's no footing to get rid of them because of history.
Okay, I will fight that tooth and nail.
Yeah, but people fight everything tooth and nail.
Since you are recording,
Good.
I would recommend just waiting until you get to that point in the agenda.
Oh, just
And
curious. I never even heard that
Yeah.
really mentioned.
You are, just, my 2 cents,
Okay.
just wait 5 minutes to ask the question.
Okay.
all right. Welcome aboard, Rich.
Thank you, sorry, I'm
No, it's all
late.
good. Call the Harbor Committee meeting to order at 5:03, Thursday, May 27th.
Roll call.
Roll call: Larry Albee,
Here.
Rich Helmke, Steve Carter, Art Payne, and Josh Lawson. Myself, Town Manager Chris Saunders, and Town Manager in Training Jesse Dunbar. Election of officer: you need to elect a chair for this meeting and this meeting only.
You're doing a good job, Justin.
Yeah, just keep rolling with the punches. You don't want to hear me talk the whole time. Yeah, so election of a chair with a term expiring May 28th, 2021. Is there any volunteers?
I don't care.
Rich, you got it?
True.
That's a volunteer if I ever heard one.
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Does anybody
Thanks.
wanna second that?
I'll second it.
Who moved?
I did.
Who on the committee moved? Josh?
I don't know.
It doesn't need a second. Minutes.
Adopt
ahead,
the
Rich.
agenda?
Oh, you gotta call for a vote.
Oh, all those in favor?
Rich is abstaining.
Rich?
Yes.
It's unanimous. Rich has it.
Alrighty, adoption of the agenda. Everything look in line to just stick with
Yeah, I've
the
read
agenda
the
as
agenda, and I
submitted?
would make a motion to accept.
Second? All in favor? Perfect. Approval of minutes. I may not have been at the last minute meeting, so I'm not sure whether I can. We skipped a meeting, didn't we?
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
might-
Yeah,
I don't
we
have my
canceled
folder. I
that.
picked it up, went
Skip
through
it
it.
again, yeah.
Any comments on the minutes?
It looked good as far as I can remember,
Yeah.
but it was a couple
Yeah,
months ago.
same.
I'll move to approve
I'll
Yeah.
second.
minutes. All in favor? Great. Regular business, financial reports. Chris.
Alright,
Pass the buck already again.
absolutely. Not too much exciting going on in the last couple months. These are an update off of the ones that you received on, I think, March 25th. Boat excise taxes are really starting to roll in. We've accepted almost $4,000 in March and April. Similar for mooring fees, in which in March and April we've accepted $11,000 over those couple months. Unfortunately, we are still low. It's really hard to tell whether or not we're going to hit the budget at this point in the year, because you have all of May and June that aren't in here, and we'll see where we are. These budget numbers are always just determined based on the average of recent years, and so if it's low, it's may reflect a downturn in the market, or it may be just noise, and who knows. On the expense side, the only real expense that is different here from the last report that you saw is the Harbor Master boat maintenance of $1,200. That actually was in your last report. We actually just reclassified it from one expense line to another. And then on the general ledger side, you can see that the total wharf revenues are about $83,000, while expenses are just shy of $64,000. So you got a positive cash flow of just under $20,000. So that's helpful for thinking about long-term projects and saving up and that kind of thing. Similar story in the harbor fund, although smaller numbers, $29,000 revenue with $22,000 expenses. So you got about a $7,200 positive cash flow, again, saving up for those long-term capital projects, moorings, etc. And then finally, similar story in Seal Cove, $6,400 of revenue versus $36,000 of expenses. So you've got a positive cash flow there, about $3,000. All of those, may come down a little bit if we do have expenses this year. So those cash flow numbers may slightly decrease, but overall, the picture's looking good.
Cool. Thank you, Chris. Do we have to prove anything?
It's nice to have a
Okay.
motion to accept them.
All right, motion to accept the financial report as submitted.
I'll make a motion to accept financial report as submitted.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Float launch. Hopefully the float at the launching ramp.
Soon. Next week. That's the plan. Yeah. They're well and dry, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Nobody really looks back in on their offside for some reason.
It's a weird size. The boat blocks everything there.
Doesn't help that first float sticks out too. So
Right, yeah, it's a weird angle going in.
Yeah.
I don't have a remote control thing, so I have to take the cord to go over to that side.
Bummer.
No biggie.
Yeah. Next week for sure.
Cool.
All right. So obviously the southern side of the ramp got hauled out and maintained, dried out. The north side got put in. I hauled out 3 on the east side of the dock, stripped all the mussels off, put them back in. Ferry terminal floats went in Seal Cove floats went in, Gotts Island floats went in. And this, like I said, the southern floats will go in next week. Transient floats will go in next week. And I think I've got one more put in at the ferry terminal, just the little finger float, the skiff tie-up. So it's coming along pretty good. It's
Cool.
It was a lot of work in a short amount of time with the weather, so. But we're gaining. I was hoping for this week, but cemeteries kind of took over the crew, so. Getting ready for the holiday.
Sure.
But, so that's the update on them, and probably the next meeting will be the fall haul out.
That's how it goes.
So
Take
in
a
and out.
breath and start heading the other way.
Yep, very much.
Excellent, thanks Justin.
Yep.
Marina update, Thurston's Marina update.
So when did we meet with them? It was 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So we met with Army Corps, Department of Submerged Lands,
May 5th.
May 5th, no, that's right. The whole 9 yards, the whole group, us, Thurston's. Just talked about it and looked at everything, floats and positions, and walked around, and everybody got a good eyeball on what is the plan. We did talk with Submerged Lands about our lease interfering with their, to be lease. So it worked out. We got a fair amount of things ironed out, I guess I should say. But it's still very much in limbo. So I want to be optimistic that we're moving forward, but the state Submerged Lands is coming down next week to meet with Derek and I, and we're going to look at it again at low water and check everything out. So it's
Gotcha.
it's going slow.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they say, and then I'm sure they'll give us a recommendation one way or the other and what to do.
But who is it that deals with the 12-foot, the distance back from the dredge edge?
Army Corps.
And they're aware of that?
Yep.
And they haven't said anything
They
yet?
are actually all set to put those floats right on the setback line
And then put the boats in the setback.
and use the setback area.
Oh,
Yep, that came right from the head of navigation in Army Corps. Yep.
but the boats block traffic to some extent?
Yep. Yep, they said it was all good on their end. So,
How deep will that be at the low water?
not very deep. I don't know exactly without looking at the plan, but it's
Well, it's
not
deep
much.
enough for a lobster boat.
Yeah, I think at a regular grain tide.
There's nothing on the inside.
No. Nothing at all in either place.
So does that mean the Army Corps is gonna approve this on their part?
I can't say that because I don't know, but because they also have some other things to fix before they can get a new permit.
Yep.
Through Army Corps with some floats that they currently have, and Derek has been working with them on that. So
Somebody mentioned that the Army Corps would let a project go through if the dredging benefited a private business. Is that right?
right, but where it's out of the setback line, so yeah, they're all set. Yeah. So if the floats were on the dredge line and the boats were actually using the dredge for personal gain, then that wouldn't work.
Wouldn't fly.
But where they are in that setback zone, I guess it's all right with
Gotcha.
Okay.
And they must have figured for a certain beam of boat.
them. Yeah, probably 15 feet or so.
Yeah.
I think the setback's about 18 feet.
Big ones.
Yeah, I think it's about 18. So.
So basically more of the same, but moving forward slowly.
Yep, pretty much. Just been working. Derek came over today. Had a good talk with him. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
So in terms of moving 2 or 3 moorings, do you think that's why Mel mentioned the lobster cars, with the thought that those moorings would move over where the cars are?
That's what I gathered from it.
That sounds kinda like it.
Yeah.
I'd never heard any discussion of the lobster cars before. I was never part of it. I'm not sure why it has anything to do with Thurston's on the other side of the harbor. But just curious where that came from all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I mean, you
think
do
it's just-
allow people to tie up to them in the summer when we're cramped for space. I know people, the
Skiffs.
kids have done it, skips and stuff, so they are used for something here and there.
Oh, yeah, I mean, people do use them.
Yeah.
Are they owned by individuals or?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we pay a mooring fee. We use ours mostly now for Dave uses it a lot more than I do really for traps from the dock to the float, so he doesn't have
Yeah.
to work around the tides and stuff, but, I mean, people use them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely
No,
getting used.
they're definitely used.
Oh, yeah. Summer and,
are
So,
there
yeah,
been any,
it seemed like that was out of left field about anything to do with Thurston's.
have there been any new ones put in, or is it just
yeah, I
always?
issued
the-
a permit 2 years ago. For one. But that's the only one.
But they're all confined right to,
Right.
right where they are pretty much.
But originally, that was because the flow of the water in and out, I think, was supposed to be good for the lobsters that are in the,
Hmm.
We used to
That
keep
makes
crabs
sense.
and ours, tons of crabs,
Yeah.
and they stayed alive good in there.
Thing is, it hasn't been profitable or necessary to do the lobster carring for years, which I think is what Mel was getting at about it being kind of obsolete. But we don't know what the future is. It may someday come back that that is something we want to do.
None of those are really traditional cars. I remember the old cars with the chutes and the platforms.
Yep.
You had to feed them all winter
Yeah,
and stuff.
but we never
None
know.
of
I mean,
them-
that might come back.
It could, for sure. I mean, you could do it. You could sell lobsters at Derek for his restaurant if you've been holding on to them all spring now.
Right.
Because he has to buy lobsters
Yeah.
when he first opens, just because we're not catching enough of restaurant quality lobsters. So you could use it for sure. And people do use them. Like I said, we used ours more for crabs, but
Yeah.
Most people just use them for trap storage and stuff.
yeah.
Right.
Are they hard to maintain, or do you have to work on them all the time?
I mean,
Just like
it's
a
We
to
push
keep
them
it
out,
up.
dry them out on the
you know,
beach. every-
occasionally.
When they get kelpy and muscly, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll need a new float within a few years. Traditionally, it's better than two, and you switch them out. We would leave one on the beach, and my one was in, but one of them fell apart on us, so.
It's a lot of work.
It works, yeah.
We did a lot of abuse. The majority of them stay in the water all the time, so.
the real question is, do you need that space for lobster boats to have a mooring? And you don't, as long as we have
already
floats
have
with,
a waiting list, so
Yeah.
it's not. It wouldn't go over very good if I told everybody they had to get rid of it all.
No.
Probably put them 2 weeks in now. I'd rather avoid that if possible. But there's definitely a benefit there to it, and so they do get used for kid moorings and stuff in the summertime. Not what they're designed for, but it works.
And it is a traditional thing in these harbors too. I mean, and it's good to hold on to
Yeah.
that while you can.
Right, because
As far as I'm
everybody's got
concerned, it really is. Anything traditional like that to do with the fishery, when we get a small say or a small bonus seems good.
Right.
So.
Wharf house discussions.
Well, I kind of agree with Mel on that. It just seems
Yeah.
like this is just going nowhere. Nobody can figure out what to do with it. It just sits there, right?
I think it's probably been a deja vu for,
We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
For the last.
I think the biggest hurdle's just been paying to have it done. We haven't had the
Yes,
money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sooner or later it will fall down on someone who will
at
have
one
that.
point, someone asked me to find out what it was gonna cost to tear it down, and
yeah.
I didn't do that. Because I was thinking I might have to tear down my own house, and I think I can save my house, so I haven't checked up on that.
It's
But
really-
I gotta say, this severe affordable housing problem on this island, and the people who went and walked through that house were looking at it with the viewpoint of real estate on Mount Desert Island. And, I was a desperate person living in my van in the woods and needed a place to live where I could work and maybe save a little money, so maybe I could have a house someday. And if that could be turned into affordable housing, I'd push for that. I mean, I don't know how you'd do it. Maybe you couldn't do it with it being town land, and you'd have to turn it into its own entity of land and deal with Island Housing Trust or something. But if there's some, and to my standards, it's, inside of that house is no worse than the inside of my house. You know, some people don't need to have fancy houses, you know,
Yeah, but the town needs insurance on it.
well, as long as it's the town's property,
Yeah, that's
but,
true.
you know, if it conveyed somehow to Island Housing Trust and they managed it, I was on that board for a while, and I don't wanna give it up. Yeah, it's a viable house.
I don't think, it's not hurting anything just sitting there right now. And then if grants open up to do the harbor master building, garage, maintenance facility for harbor master stuff, we move forward. In the meantime, it sits there.
It's got a good roof, you know, it's not gonna get,
That's my take.
Mhm.
the sliding glass door is a wreck, and it's starting, and an easterly, it's getting in there a little bit. But
I personally foresee any housing down there being, 3 more cars, 4 more cars.
Yeah, when I
It would
first
just-
started, it was
would-
rented,
it-
and
it's
it
like-
was a pain.
At its limit with cars now,
Yeah,
It
with
was always
vehicles,
on leave.
trucks.
well, they're not parking in front of my house, the
Yeah,
full
you
length
can
of that
ditch
upper lot.
for real.
Yeah, and they're welcome to, I mean, doesn't bother me a bit.
Yeah.
I just can't help but wonder the logistics of making it, as far as a town property. Like you say, maybe turn it over to somebody else, but then you've got something else going on in your town parking lot where
Yeah.
That's
you
true.
know, there's
Yeah.
commercial stuff going on.
That's
And
gonna
if there were
be a
kids there, that
nightmare.
wouldn't be good.
Yeah, and it is so crowded, I mean,
Yep.
already everywhere. And it's the same kind of thing we talk about with the marina plan too, like the harbor is just so crowded everywhere. It's not that anybody's trying to do anything wrong that, with their property or anything, it's just, it's gonna be, you know what it's coming to, it's summer now, and it's, I don't know. It just seems like it sits there, and I guess it doesn't hurt to let it sit,
Yep. Might as
for
well.
now, but sooner or later it will become, nobody living in it, nobody
Well, it's
using
got
it,
a
it'll
good
become one of those
roof.
houses that will end up being torn down.
And chances are, we're gonna tear it down for whatever we build anyway.
Right.
So
That's
it's
true.
just,
It wouldn't hurt to tear it down.
no.
Well, I suppose though, if you tear it down, does that limit what you can
Do we
do?
For a
lose
year.
footprint? Do we lose
Oh,
any
Um,
kind
Do
of
we have a
ground
certain
level?
time to rebuild or anything?
If it's for commercial fisheries use, then there's no, you don't need to maintain that footprint. It's already lost its single-family use, because it's been more than a year.
So if in the future we wanted to go forward with like the building with, where you could put your boat in the harbor master's office, that would still be a thing that could happen, even
Yeah.
though it was torn down already?
You
Even-
would be limited to that size, is
And the
there.
setbacks wouldn't matter, or,
Right,
because it's,
there's no setbacks for
Okay.
For
commercial
commercial.
fisheries.
Gotcha.
See, so that's interesting. So you
So
don't
it
really
is-
need
That's,
it out.
that's the first one I heard of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it to be affordable housing would have to be turned over to another entity.
That's just my idea, I mean, I'm
Well,
way off on that,
sounded
I
like-
have no
Or
idea.
we're gonna have to find money to put
Well,
into it.
there's also just a question of it probably wouldn't be allowed anyway. Because
Right.
there's no residential and commercial fisheries.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
I see.
Chris, is there funds anywhere that we could use to tear it down if we chose to?
Yes. Well, there's a.
Can you elaborate?
Well, you've got the $20,000 operating margin in the war fund right now. So, that's the kind of expense that this could be used for. It's kind of a political decision in that, do you feel that general taxpayer dollars could be used on an improvement at the wharf? And the loud and clear message that I've always heard is that, the wharf will be self-sustaining and general taxpayer dollars will not be used at that facility. And so you're sort of limited to that. There is, there are grants out there, like the grant that we used to redo the wharf last year, that may carry, may have some potential there, but I'm not 100% convinced that we would win them, because they are competitive, and they just have a ranking process and a scoring system, and I'm not sure that this project would score as highly as a direct wharf repair. So, up and
Right.
down the coast, you've got deteriorating wharves, and that's a high priority.
right.
And so a maintenance garage adjacent to a wharf is not going to score as highly as the wharf itself. So that's my elaboration.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't think it'd cost a whole lot to tear it down and dispose of it. but-
Yeah, I My mother, actually, this is whatever, what she tells me. I think she's having her crab shop torn down because it's in her view and they don't use it anymore, whatever. And she found someone to do it through a contractor that she uses for her carpentry and stuff. But he's gonna do it for $4,500. He's gonna come in and tear it down, and with the backhoe and put it in dump trucks, and it's going away.
Yeah.
And that is maybe a little smaller, maybe not quite as involved. I don't know exactly what it
Just a
takes,
rough-
but that was
rough
just a rough
price.
estimate, what she
Yeah.
told me they were gonna charge her. I don't know if they were gonna salvage stuff so they could. She's got a water heater and a boiler in there. I don't know if they take some of it off for that. I don't know what exactly her deal is, but
The
it
big
didn't seem like a
expense-
huge expense to me.
Is to get rid of the demo. I mean, the machine
Yeah.
work isn't,
Yeah.
4 hours they'd have that demo.
Yeah, so they're just gonna take it off and roll off.
Less than that, probably.
I can't imagine it being less than 10,000-15,000 for that building.
I know my old house, of course, this was 6 years ago, the Gotts charged me 7,000.
Yeah. That, I'm just spitballing.
Yeah.
but
I would guess
Between
right
10 and
around
15.
10.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
though it's 10, it seems
Yeah.
it's gonna have to come down eventually. It seems like no matter what. Like we said. no
Now,
matter
that would
what
have to
factor.
be bid though, right? Would have to put that to bid,
What was the, well, it all depends on the cost. Yeah, yes, if it was under 5,000, then.
which it probably
I know,
won't be.
but it doesn't sound like it would
No.
be. So if it's between 5 and 15, it wouldn't have to be as rigorous a bid process, and it's over 15, it's a pretty rigorous bid process. One of the goals of tonight's discussion with you, I guess there's two goals. One, for the 5 of you to have a discussion and maybe reach some kind of consensus about what your recommendation is. You don't need to make a motion or anything. But the selectmen are very interested in discussing this with you and hearing it and just having kind of a roundtable conversation. And so what I was hoping you would be willing to do is identify an upcoming date of a selectmen's meeting that as many of you as possible could plan to attend and discuss it with them at that time. And so I can give you, you can look at the calendar right there. The
Which one are
selectmen's
they, the
meetings
yellow one?
are the yellow ones, yep. So June 7th is an option, June 21st, July 6th, July 19th, August 2nd.
Unfortunately, I think I'm here for all of them, so
Yeah.
there's no future of getting
Yeah.
away, so.
I believe I could do any of them.
I could do any of them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna re-up my position, so if you want me there, probably June, I guess. I'm done at the end of June, so. I wouldn't mind going, so what do you think?
Yeah.
Like June 21st.
Sure.
What day of the week is that?
Monday.
Mondays, 7th to the 21st.
They're not always on Mondays, but like the 6th is a Tuesday because of the July 4th holiday.
And my take is just leave it until we decide to do something with it. If it's not a threat of falling down or people getting in it or getting hurt or anything like that. And if we tear it down, what are we gonna gain? Parking, maybe?
New dumpster area.
A dumpster area?
You'd gain a little
Whoa.
bit. I mean, you would gain a little bit.
Yeah,
It
I
probably
think my
cheaper.
vote would be to tear it
to
down.
tear it down.
It could be a
I
few
wouldn't be opposed to that, but
dollars less to do it now versus 2 years ago.
And just due to inflation, yeah.
although,
Maybe.
right now, I mean, having anything done is insane pricing.
Yeah.
And they can just throw numbers out because they're
Yeah.
so busy.
Yeah.
3 years from now, they may be looking for work when this bubble does whatever it's gonna do. I don't know, it's crystal ball talk. But I know what I paid for my foundation, it was like this, the market when we built. And I know 2 years later, people were having them done for a fraction of that, and it was quite frustrating.
But you can't always wait either. That's the thing.
Right,
You don't
it's
know.
crystal
never
ball, you don't know,
You
right,
never
things
know.
can be insane.
I
3
mean,
years
my
from now.
only view is if the fishermen could use that space this summer, or people launching at the ramp, but, why wait?
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely need for parking.
Yeah. It is nice having that one little zone open,
Yeah.
right there,
Mhm.
For backing into.
for backing a
Yeah.
trailer up.
So would there have to be much work to get it into parking other than just tearing it down? I
I
mean,
think
it
just
would be
tearing it down and
filling it in.
basic
little
leveling.
stone.
I mean, it's probably. I mean, I'm sure they would clean it up and level it when they're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
But if not, I mean, the town's good.
There wouldn't be a drainage that they'd have to address.
There's already drainage there, runs off the septic into the culvert.
There's a well up on top of that hill, and there's a septic system which could be pumped up to, if at any time, you know, we are spending some more than we want to for the parties, you know, maybe at some point putting up some kind of a building which gets us away from buying plaster parties.
Yep.
And using a well and the septic that we have. I'm not sure whether you can go right in and use the GOTS septic system, or whether the state would have to look at it again since the house has been down, but, you know, it wouldn't be anywhere near the dumpage of crap into it. But you do have that asset.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think public restrooms would be pretty nice down there.
It would be.
Yeah.
Definitely a nice addition.
So June 21st, is that your consensus around that date?
Sounds good.
Works.
Sounds good, yeah. Works for me.
Do you want to make a motion just so there's something on the books, so when no one shows up, I can say, but they made a motion? Actually, I won't be here anymore, but Jesse can say, but they made a motion.
I'll move that we all of us try to attend, or everyone who can, try to attend the June 21st Selectmen's meeting to discuss the future of the Wharf House.
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
That's at 5 p.m. Wait, is the
5
meeting at 5?
Yes.
Harbor Masters report.
Alright, it's been a couple months, this is nowhere near as much as I've been doing, but I was throwing the packet together and this is all at the page. Did have one boat break off, Junie Harper's, we took care of that. Parker helped actually take care of that. And they caught the boat before it went ashore, so it was pretty good. A lot of work with the Parker store, trying to order the correct motor spool, control valve for the hoist. The brake seems to be failing on the hoist prematurely. Put that new control valve on yesterday and solved the problem 100%.
Cool.
So that was pretty exciting. Been busy working on floats, pressure washing floats, launching floats, hauling floats, scraping floats, cleaning up all the stuff from the floats. Repaired the water line at the dock, turned the water on. Repaired the rock retaining wall by the south of the finger floats at the boat ramp. We did get the new boat trailer ordered. It should be here sometime in the next weeks to 10 weeks or 12 weeks, or who knows? No idea. It should be in by the time it's time to haul the boat out. so that's cool. Plenty of work on the electric hoist, plenty of work on the hydraulic hoist. Did a filter change today and added a bunch of chafing gear here and there and everywhere. Everything's looking pretty good. Eric's been working a lot in the harbor, this harbor, Seal Cove. We've adjusted quite a few moorings. All the new moorings, I believe, have been set. Ordered a pressure washer for the Bulk Works crew. Had the meeting at Thurston's. Cleaned up the oil spill in the parking lot. Worked on the fishway. Lots of mowing cemeteries, cleaning up the wharf house area. You guys noticed that, shined that up quite a bit. Took care of the boat ramp, and lots of meetings with people, public, permits, moorings, Thurston's, and floats, and all kinds of stuff. It's really definitely in full swing season now. So everybody was in the office today. So we'll be here all summer for the long haul. Got a little vacation in last week, fly fishing, so I'm ready to go now.
Very good, thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
We need that motion for that?
Next agenda.
Any thoughts, comments, concerns, plans? Do the fall haul out?
By next meeting, we would be able to talk about where we're
Wharf house.
going with the
Wharf
house,
house.
possibly the wharf house.
Wharf house.
But if that's the only thing,
Yep,
we could
we're good with that.
skip over it
Everybody's-
if that's the only thing.
Probably everybody in this room will be busy.
Yeah.
It gets busy.
Yeah.
Spec will have his new boat in the water.
Oh, yeah. I better.
Cool, well, that sounds good.
All right. Move to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Go launch a boat at dead low tide.
That's the right thing to do.
And a big blood move.
I know,
Oh, you really know how to pick 'em.
Big boat too.